Okay, so we're going to take a look at this problem, and we're going to use the order of operations that we just went over in the previous video to solve this problem. But first we have to set up the equation. So let's just read through it first and see what we're dealing with. It says that Tran volunteers at the animal shelter on the weekends. His job is to feed the dogs. There are 5 big dogs, 6 medium dogs, and 10 puppies. Each of the big dogs eats 3 cups of dog food. Each of the medium-sized dogs eat 2 cups of dog food. And 1 cup of dog food is divided equally between 2 puppies. How much dog food does Tran need each time he feeds the dogs at the animal shelter? Well, first of all, thanks to Tran. I appreciate him being a volunteer. That's very nice of him to do at the animal shelters. So let's go and look at this. So when we look at our question, it just wants to know every time he feeds the animals, how much food does he use? So how much dog food does Tran need every time he feeds the dogs? So we need a total amount of food. Total amount of food. So it's easy for us to see that this is definitely going to be more than a one-step problem, okay? So let's just start off with the big dogs, right? So the big dogs, it says that there are 5 of them. And it says that the 5 big dogs, and they eat, so there's 5 big dogs, okay? And so the 5 big dogs, each of the big dogs eats 3 cups of food, okay? So with the 5 dogs, big dogs, they eat 3 cups of food. So we can easily figure that out by doing 5 times 3. But let's keep going, okay? Because now we have to think about the 6 medium-sized dogs, okay? And it says that each of the medium-sized dogs, eats 2 cups of food, okay? So they eat 2 cups of food. So that would be 6 times 2. Now, obviously, we would take the sum or the product of this one and the product of that one, and we would put them both together, right? In order to get part of our answer, okay? So the next, we're going to read the last part about the puppies. Let's read this last little section about the puppies. There's 10 puppies, okay? And it says that each of the puppies, 1 cup of dog food is divided equally between two of the puppies, okay? So I have a total of 10 puppies. But each one of the puppies doesn't eat an entire cup. It eats only half of a cup because it says that the food is divided equally between 2 puppies. So that would just mean that we're dividing by 2. Okay? So we end up with an equation that looks something like this. Okay? Now, because we know about our order of operations, okay, we know how to follow this. But first, we need to think about what do we have to do first in this problem. Well, first we have to find out how much the big dogs eat, how much the medium-sized dogs eat, and how much the little dogs eat. So this is where our parentheses come in handy because it tells us what to do first. So we know that we have to find out how much the big dogs eat, we have to figure out how much the medium-sized dogs eat, and we have to figure out how much the little dogs eat. Now that we have this set up, what we can do next is we can figure out what we do first based on our order of operations. So we said yesterday that we want to take care of whatever is in parentheses first. Well, if you look at this, everything is in parentheses, right? So what do we do first? Well, then we move on to the next step, which would be multiplication and division, whatever comes in order from left to right. Well, let's go back to our equation and we can see that from left to right, multiplication happens first. So let's go here first. So we can see that 5 times 3 is 15, plus 6 times 2 is 12. So then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring this part down because it's a different operation. So next I'm going to take care of whatever is in these parentheses. So I'm going to keep 15 plus 12. What is 10 divided by 2? That would be 5. Now we have exactly the same operation. We have a plus and a plus. And remember, because of the commutative property of multiplication and addition, I could add this up in whatever order I want to because it doesn't matter at this point. I can add 5 plus 12 plus 15, or I can add 15 plus 12 plus 5. Either way is perfectly fine. Okay, so I'm just going to start with 15 plus 12, which would give me 27, plus 5. So 27 plus 5, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. That would equal a total of 32 cups of food. So the answer to our question would be Tran uses 32 cups of dog food every time he feeds the dogs at the shelter. And it was pretty easy. So think about it. How different would this problem have been if we hadn't applied those parentheses? Those parentheses are directions telling us what to do first. Now, you and I already knew that we had to find out what the big dogs ate first, and then the medium, and then the small dogs. We already knew that. But if I just showed you this equation without the parentheses, it would be really kind of confusing to figure out. So it's really important that we follow our order of operations when solving these problems. And so hopefully you will put these order of operations steps into use for the next slides in this show.